I think being able to ground myself in my story as a person, as an individual who's organizing, as a woman, as a Black woman, has really given me the power to show up as my authentic self.
Welcome to Come Back with Erica Cobb, a community of folks like yourselves who are getting ready and staying ready for their next chapter. Well, today I have a small connection with a big personality and someone who has put action behind all the words that she's spoken. You might have noticed a couple weeks ago on my Instagram, I posted her as my Woman Crush Wednesday. She is so much more than that.
I really want to take this moment to highlight someone. Her name is Zyahna Bryant.
As the Washington Post said, she is the girl who brought down the Robert E. Lee statue. And as a result, it has created an entire movement. Today, I am so honored to have Zyahna Bryant with me on Come Back with Erica Cobb. Welcome, girl. You were the catalyst. You were the person who started the petition at the age of 15 to remove Robert E. Lee's statue from your hometown in Charlottesville. So take me through that time in your life.
So when I was in ninth grade, I had to write a paper about something I could change. And I immediately thought about the Robert E. Lee statue in Lee Park in downtown Charlottesville. I grew up in Charlottesville and my family has lived here for a few generations. So I have always been interested in race. And then when I decided to write the paper about something I could change, my teacher was like, wow, this is really good. Like you've done the research about what this statue represents and where it is and kind of like the spatial significance of it too. I mean, I think I should note that Lee Park is pretty much adjacent to an old former Black business district and neighborhood called Vinegar Hill, and it was demolished as a part of urban renewal. So we saw those efforts taking over cities all over the country as a way of pushing Black people out of their neighborhoods and pushing them out of cities and kind of onto the outskirts. So in Charlottesville, that's no different. We had massive resistance, we had desegregation, but we also had a lot of, racial pushback. And so the erecting of the Lee statue was just a way to reinforce that Charlottesville was not a place for Black people. Mm-hmm. And so when I realized that paper was good and there was something that I really could do with it, I turned it into a change.org petition and presented it to city council. And at the time, I knew one of the city councilors. His name was Wes Bellamy. And I also knew Kristen Zako. She was another councilor. And so they really took that petition and started to get some votes with council and get some policy ideas into place. But writing that petition, I feel like, was one of the first times that I did something that was so serious that I just didn't know what the outcome would be, right? Because I was like, I'm gonna shoot high and be like, oh, ideally it will come down. But I also recognized that I was a ninth grader. So I didn't have high expectations. But as I saw things unravel, like the KKK rally on July 8th in Charlottesville, and then the following, the Unite the Right rally, August 12th, I saw a whole summer of hate. And I think that is really what started to sway the public opinion more in my, on my side of just maybe we should take these statues down, because look at what happens when we just talk about them. People feel really threatened by that.
I understand that you got a lot of backlash for your petition. And in a social media world, and we've all experienced it, some of us far less, depending on the size of our platform than others. And I want to know how you dealt with the backlash at 15 years old, especially because this was such a racially charged subject.
I remember, I feel like the first instance of backlash that really hit me the most was I was on my high school softball team and I played varsity in ninth grade. And I remember my coach saying, oh, you're going to the city council meeting tonight. I saw you on the news, talking about the statue. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go after our meeting or after our game. I don't remember if it was a scrimmage or something. I was like, yeah, I'm going down after this. He was like, well, take your jersey off. Don't go down there with your jersey on. And that was really the moment where I was like, I need to watch you. I need to see what you're about. But also I just remember people who I really admired and looked up to becoming very problematic and also exposing their politics. And that really kind of triggered me because I was like, wow, these are people who I've, I look at as being so mature and having such great relationships with other people. But then seeing people who I'd known my whole life, not just my coaches, but family, friends who were just like, I don't know why you're doing this with this statue, you know? And I feel like those were the instances of backlash that hit the hardest, because it's like, you know, people tell you all the time, these people are behind screens, right? They're probably in their basements. They're probably, you know, on bot accounts. And so, yes, those words do affect me. And yes, you know, it is hard posting a photo and then having 25 comments from people you've never met before that are extremely negative and extremely harmful. That is hurtful, but it's also hurtful to know that people who are scared, they're scared of talking about these very dangerous subjects. They're scared because they have jobs to protect and families to provide for. So like understanding that I was a ninth grader and I was able to talk about these, you know, bigger issues in a way where I wasn't as restricted because I didn't have a job and all of that. And then seeing people who were either scared or just comfortable with the status quo, who would make it their business to let me know that they were not supportive. And I think that was like, those were the moments that kind of hit the hardest. And as a ninth grader, I think I handled it the best I could. I wouldn't say it was perfect, right? I think we're just now starting to talk about self-care and collective care for activists and organizers. But the truth is that, you know, 2016, we weren't really having these conversations. We weren't talking about protect Black women in 2016, right? And so the people who were talking about it were kind of like in their own silos. But then the mainstream conversation was about how do we protect Black men, right? Like how do we talk about, you know, prison and all of these things, but we're not talking about the sub like identities of Black people. So I think for me, finding community with people who were other Black women, you know, queer folks, like the people who are actually in the margins, I think being able to organize with them and finding community with them was something that really gave me the power to keep going and really helped me to fill my cup, but also getting mental health resources. And I think that this is also something that a lot of people are becoming more comfortable with talking about now. But the reality is that having a therapist in Charlottesville, many of us activists had therapists because we needed it. Like imagine, you know, opening your phone one day and Breitbart has you in a headline, right? And so then you have all these people just trolling your accounts. So I think that is, you know, just right-wing conservative channels were really kind of targeting me, and I didn't know how to handle it at first. But I think as time went on, I was just like, okay, this is how I do damage control. This is how I lock down my accounts. And we've seen platforms like, you know, Instagram and Facebook starting to do more about like those harassment situations. But, you know, there's definitely more work that can be done around that.
I really want to hear what's next for you. What are some initiatives or promotions or something that you would like to share with our comeback community? Because this is a community of testimony teachers and experts and a place for inspiration. So let us know what you have going on.
So really what's next for me is continuing to build Black Women Built This, which is a brand that I launched on Juneteenth. And it's really just, it's about strategy and it's about storytelling. So on one end, we work with organizations and brands that want to be more socially responsible and who want to elevate the stories and work of Black women and acknowledge that. But we also sell merch. And so we're really just trying to get people to make the statement that Black women did build so many of these things that you guys enjoy and love. You can find us at www.bwbtbrand.com. And you can also find us on Instagram at bwbtbrand. And then you can find my personal Instagram at Zysaidso. And yeah, I'm always on social media, so you'll find me there. But I've really been trying to use Black Women Built This and my personal brand as a way to just really educate folks on the issues that are going on and connect them to ways that they can tap into like calls to action or like ongoing efforts in their own community. So we'll be expanding that out more, but always open to conversations with folks who are looking to get started.
Zyahna Bryant, thank you so much for spending just a little bit of time with me on Comeback with Erica Cobb. My comeback community, check out Zyahna, check out her brand, Black Women Built This. This is such an important conversation to have because we need to be not only making sure that Black women are seen and heard, but also elevated and not removed from the story, because you can always find one of us in a story. Okay. So, yes. Yes. So thank you so much for watching. For the full podcast, go to my online home to learn more about Zyahna Bryant at comeback.tv. Thank you, Zyahna.